These 6 Pinterest mistakes could be seriously hurting your blog growth. Hi, my name is Sarah from Businesswomen Thrive, and today we are talking about Pinterest marketing mistakes. There are 7 mistakes that I see bloggers making all the time when using Pinterest, so make sure to stick around to the end to maximize your Pinterest growth. Let's get started. The first mistake is not using Pinterest SEO. SEO is important for you to be using on Pinterest to make sure that you get great results. If you're not familiar what SEO is, SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And essentially what that means is optimizing your pins in a few specific ways to get them to rank in search. Now, what does it mean to get your pins ranked in search? For example, if you look up in the search bar on Pinterest, "Why bloggers quit blogging," you're going to see my pin pop up in the top. That is what is considered a ranked pin. Whenever you search something up on Pinterest, whatever are the top pins that pop up are the ranked pins. And the reason that you want to get there is Pinterest is a search engine. It is not a social media site like Twitter or Facebook. When people go onto Pinterest, they don't generally just scroll aimlessly through the feed. They are going there for a purpose. So they will search something in the search bar up at the top to get to whatever topic it is that they're looking for, or problem that they're trying to solve, or product that they're trying to buy. And you want your pins to be at the top so you can have more chances for your pins to get clicked on and, of course, meaning traffic to your blog. Now you know what it means to get a ranked pin and you know why you want to get a ranked pin. The question becomes, how do you get a ranked pin? There isn't really a specific way that you can get a ranked pin. Pinterest has its own algorithm and its own way that it ranks pins, so there's a lot of things that go into getting your pin ranked, and we don't actually know all the strategies behind what gets a pin ranked and what doesn't. But there are a few key things that you can do to help your pin have a better chance of ranking in search. The first thing you want to do is think like a Pinterest user. Go to the search bar and start typing in things that relate to your blog post. And these are keywords that you can use in your blog posts, you can use in your Pinterest titles, and you can use in your Pinterest descriptions to help you get ranked in search. So for example, if you look up the keyword of blogging, you are going to see that there are a bunch of little bubbles at the top that pop up. And those are other key words that people are searching when they search for blogging. Now, Pinterest has just made a change where occasionally you don't actually see the bubbles at the top like you used to. And this was really helpful, so I'm sad that it's gone away, but that's just the way that it is. So for example, if you look up the word crochet hat, you will no longer see those bubbles with those keywords. You'll see a tab called Explore and you'll see a tab called Shop. Now, this seems to happen to any type of item on Pinterest that you can buy. Thankfully though, not all hope is lost. You can use the Pinterest autocomplete tool instead. So for example, if you were to type in crochet hat in the top search bar and just hit the space bar, you can see other words that show up using the autocomplete. These are also suggestions of keywords that people are searching for when they show up with crochet hat, and those are terms you can use as well to help get your pins ranked in search. If you want to go more in depth on learning about Pinterest SEO, I recently did a video on it. I will leave it in the YouTube card and a link down below in the description if you want to check it out. The second mistake I see bloggers making on Pinterest is not having a business account. Instead, they have a personal account. And a personal account is okay to have, but if you are using Pinterest to drive traffic off of Pinterest for your blog or your YouTube channel or your Etsy shop or anywhere else outside of Pinterest, you really want to have a Pinterest business account, because there are a lot of stats behind the scenes that you get with a business account that you don't get with a regular Pinterest account. You can get a bunch of useful stats like the link clicks to your pins, the engagements, the impressions, and your total audience on Pinterest. And these stats will not only tell you what pins are doing well and what blog posts are doing well, but they can also help you create content in the future, because if a post is doing well, you may be able to recreate that, or you can promote it more to get more link clicks to your blog. If you don't have a Pinterest business account set up, I also have a video on that one as well, so that will also be linked on the iCard and it'll be linked in the description below if you want to check out how to set up a Pinterest business account. Before we move on to the next point, if you're getting value out of this, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel down below for more videos just like this one. The third mistake bloggers make on Pinterest is not pinning consistently. Pinterest honestly is a lot of work, and it takes a consistent effort to make sure that you see good results from Pinterest. So you want to make sure that you are pinning consistently so that you can get the best results possible from Pinterest. If you stop pinning consistently, there's a good chance that you're going to see a dip in your views. I prefer to manual pin, which means as opposed to using a third-party scheduler like Tailwind, you just pin your pins directly onto Pinterest using their scheduler that they have built into Pinterest themselves. But if you have like a full-time job and you don't have time to be pinning consistently, you can still use third-party schedulers, and the one that you want to be using is Tailwind, because that is an approved partner of Pinterest. So for example, if you use something like Buffer or Later, those are third-party scheduling tools and you can schedule Pinterest pins with them, but your reach might be seriously decreased because those aren't approved partners from Pinterest, whereas Tailwind is an approved partner. You can use a free trial of Tailwind, and I will leave a link down below in the description if you want to check out Tailwind. I do highly recommend it. With the free trial, you get 100 pins that you can pin to Pinterest for free. And that free trial will last for as long as you can have those 100 pins. The fourth mistake bloggers make is pinning too much of others' content. Now this one may seem strange to a lot of people, like isn't the point of Pinterest to pin content? That's literally in the name. But Pinterest has recently changed their algorithms yet again, and now they don't really focus on repins too much. So what they want is fresh content to be put on their site, and I'll explain what that is later in the video. Bloggers used to have something called the 80-20 rule of pinning, where you would pin 80% of your own content and 20% of somebody else's. And this used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. Like I said, Pinterest is no longer really paying attention to repins as much as they are paying attention to fresh pins. Plus, if you start to pin others' content, your stats in the back end of your Pinterest will start to be skewed. Your monthly views will not only show your views, but they will also show any other views from pins that you've pinned, even if they aren't yours. So if I were to go onto Pinterest and pin some bloggers' pins, whatever those pins got impressions, I would also see those impressions. So you won't really know how well your pins are doing if you're pinning so much of other people's content. And in the back end of your Pinterest analytics, if you don't have the right filters on, you will see all of the stats for other people's pins as well, including the link clicks. So I personally pin 100% of my own content. Mistake number 5 that bloggers make is not branding their pins. Now this can mean a few things. You want to make sure that your pins are branded with either your website link or they're branded with your logo. And that just means that when you create a pin on Pinterest, make sure that in the bottom corner or in the top or somewhere on the pin, you either have a logo or you have your website link, because unfortunately on Pinterest a lot of people steal pins. They'll basically save your pin and they will re-upload it, and the link that they have will go to another site and it won't go to your site. Unfortunately, this does end up happening a lot on Pinterest when a pin gets a lot of traction, but luckily if you have your website link on there or you have your blog logo on there, you can report the pin and tell Pinterest that it is your intellectual content, and then you just have to link them to the blog post on your site and they will take the pin down. I wouldn't worry too much about this, but unfortunately it does happen sometimes, so this is just one way to protect yourself from that happening. Another thing that you want to brand with your pins is the colors and the fonts that you use on your pin. And if you have branded pins that looks kind of similar, that will help your audience, if they liked your pins before, pick out your pin on the feed and basically just help them stop the scroll, and if they liked your past content and it looks similar to your future content, they may actually click on it. The 6th mistake bloggers make is not manual pinning. As I mentioned before, Pinterest is really favoring fresh pins. Now first, let's define what a fresh pin actually is. The definition of the pin changes as Pinterest changes their algorithm. Right now there are 2 theories for what a fresh Pinterest pin is like. Before, what a fresh Pinterest pin was, you could do a new Pinterest design with an old URL and that would count as a fresh pin. But now Pinterest is getting really picky, and the word on the street is it may be a totally new URL, so a totally new blog post and also a new Pinterest pin design. I'm hoping that's not the case, because that would mean that Pinterest wants you to pump out even more content that they already wanted you to pump out, but that is what people are saying Pinterest wants. Honestly, it's really hard to tell what Pinterest wants, but the bottom line here is quality over quantity on Pinterest. Pinterest is a very tricky platform to use, and the Pinterest algorithm changes frequently. So by the time you're watching this video, Pinterest may have changed their algorithm already. So if you want to keep up and get the latest on Pinterest, you can click or tap the screen right here to check out my Pinterest playlist, which will be updated regularly with all of my new Pinterest videos. Or you can click or tap the screen right here to check out the video that YouTube has personally picked out for you. Don't forget to hit the like button if you liked, and subscribe to my channel down below, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye!